Okay, let's put the phones away. First thing you have to do on completing the square is you always have to make sure that the plane number is on the other side. Okay? So step one from last week was get A and B alone. And the main reason I'm reviewing this is because we're doing completing the square again today, but like a little bit harder versions of them. Okay, so we've got x squared plus 6x, and then we essentially left a blank spot on both sides. So our goal is to figure out what number to add there. That's what's actually called completing the square. And most of you had this step down where you cut this number in half, so 3, and then square it. So 9 would go here and here. And then the next line, the very first day we had done completing the square, we had to do 2 steps every single problem. It was adding the 9 and then writing it as a perfect square where this number automatically went in this spot. So 3, the half number went there. And then we add the -8 and the 9. Thanks. Next step was to square root both sides. And on Friday, it appeared that a lot of you were going pretty quick on these once you had the steps down. Like, by far the hardest part is getting the steps down kind of as a habit. Square rooting both sides cancels off that squared symbol. And then the thing that you have to remember is to write plus and minus. For whatever reason, this is super hard to remember, and I mean, I sort of understand. It's just everybody has a hard time remembering it. And then the last step being to finish solving. So like this one has a +3, so we have to subtract the 3. Bless you. So then x would be plus and minus 1 minus 3. And then this will leave you with 2 answers. +1 minus 3, -1 minus 3. So we got what? -2 and -4. And this is just what we did last week. I don't know if I'm hoping I didn't go through that too quick. I just wanted to refresh you. I don't think Carly caught much of it though. Get off your phone. Kelsey. So this is similar to what we're doing today. These are going to be called completing the square. This is out of your packet. So I believe it's the last page of completing the square in the packet. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's word problems, but. So it's going to be towards the end of your packet, I believe. I'm on page 26 out of 36. Top of the page says solved by completing the square. A, and then it's got these weird symbols. This is supposed to be not equal to 1. But I know depending on what program you type with, that's not always a symbol you can use. It's supposed to be A is not equal to 1. I'm going to go down towards the bottom because this one is going to be a little bit easier to start with. Who should we go with first? Can you roll? Sure. Wait, didn't I promise it? No, that's a different class. Did I promise it to one of you? Okay. Okay, who do we got? There's going to be a lot of people missing today, though. So the pyramid one, you read the number that's on the top. So like that one's a 3. Well, like it'll say like 30, 40, you just read the first number. That was the only way I could get dice that worked. So that one's 3 something.
360? 90?
Well, that's up to you. 9?
Yeah, 9.
Let's read it. Okay, first thing, if we're trying to do completing the square on that problem right there, it's the bottom left. I think it's the, is that the right page? Probably that one. So it's 2x squared plus 6x equals 14. Do you remember what the first step was?
Minus the 6 from the sides.
Oh, so if there's a plain number, we have to move that to the other side. So it's to get A and B by themselves. This one, they kind of moved it for us already, like it's already started off that way. Now, normally, what we would do next is write a little blank on both sides to add to have a perfect number. The issue with these problems is the number on the x squared. If there's a number on the x squared, that doesn't work. Like you can't just take half of the middle number and find a perfect number to add to it. So what we're going to do, the new step, is you're going to factor out whatever number this is. So factoring out means that you're dividing by it. And I picked this problem first because the numbers worked nicely. Some of the other ones, they don't. So we're going to divide both of these by 2 to factor it out. And it's only on the left-hand side. Cameron, who did you roll next?
18.
1-8?
Yeah.
I feel Aziz. That was perfect timing. You got rolled. But you're not going to be able to answer it quite yet, probably. Who else?
16.
No. 1-6. Salim,
6.
you are 1-6. How come I divided everything by 2 on this particular problem? Yeah. I basically choose whatever number is on the x squared, and I divide by that. Okay, so inside the parentheses, this is going to say regular x squared plus 3x plus blank, because we haven't added a number yet. And we didn't do anything to the 14, because we didn't factor a 2 out of the 14. Okay?
2, 4.
Next.
1, 2.
Grayson's gone. That's the hard part today when a bunch of people are gone. 2, 7?
Yeah.
6, 7. Nana, how do we figure out what number goes there again? In that blank. Do you want a refresher? I mean, I can help you too. I just didn't know if you wanted it. Help? Okay. You have to take half of this middle number. So in this case, 1.5. And then square it. And is that 2.25? Sounds right. You guys are definitely going to need the calculator today. I think it's 2.25. Yeah? All right. You can have faith in me again. This is the difficult step for most people. Not writing in 2.25. That's not going to be the difficult step. The problem is if I add 2.25 inside the parentheses, it's not worth 2.25 because we've got this multiplier of 2 on the outside. So it's technically worth 4.5. So in the blank on the right-hand side, I'm going to have to add whatever this number outside times that number on the inside. And that's usually going to be the hardest step for most of you. Huh? Well, there's the same steps as the other one. There's just like extra in between. Do you want me to write down like the extra steps? Okay. So maybe I'll write it in this spot, but you guys are going to have to. No, we'll just write it in that spot. Okay. So if there is a number on x squared, or whatever letter you're using, factor it out of a and b. Does that make sense writing it that way? That's this step right here where we took the 2 out. Inside parentheses, take half of b and square it. Add that number inside parentheses. Is parentheses P-A-R-A? I know, but I don't know if I spelled it right. Is it P-A-R-E, parentheses? I'm doubting myself. Well, we'll just write it both ways. One of them's right. Okay, so you add that number inside the parentheses. Outside the parentheses, outside on the other side of the equal sign, add that number times what you factored out. I don't know how to say it. I don't know a better way of saying the number in the front. Should I just say times the number in the front? This is partially why I wasn't so sure about writing down the steps, because there's a lot of words, but you're not actually doing much. Okay. Can you also read? I wrote that really sloppy. Okay. Okay, going back to the actual problem. This part is still going to be regular. In the parentheses, we're going to write the number that was cut in half. So that part stays the same. But the 2 that we factored in the front is still in the front. Um, 18.5. I mean, I'm just going to definitely tell you today's a calculator day. How are we at this stage so far? Go ahead.
How did you get 18.5?
I added the 14.
Oh,
these two I just added together since they're both regular numbers. I don't know, is there anything you guys want to ask about where we're at? Because absolutely this part is kind of new. I mean, I can keep going, I just wanted to double check. We're not going to take the square root next. This 2 in the front makes taking the square root much more difficult. So this step would be to divide both sides by the number in the front. And hopefully this fit on your paper. So I'm going to divide both sides by the 2. And I'm only doing divided by 2 because of the 2 in the front. These steps are only if there is a number in the front. So the way they say that is A is not equal to 1. And these are just kind of squished inside. I don't know, I think it's steps 1 and 2 that we wrote on the other day. The very first step, whether there's a number here or not, is to make sure to move this number to the other side. And that's the same on all of them. If there's a number in the front, then you kind of have to detour and do these steps extra. From here, it's the same. So square root both sides to cancel off that squared symbol. This is going to be like 3 points, very small. 3.05 maybe? Not sure. Somebody with a calculator. Oh, wait. I do have one. Go ahead. Say it again. I took the square root of both sides. And I don't know what the answer is yet because I haven't typed it in. .04. And then I'm writing the plus and minus there because I did the square root on both sides. I don't have much for room here. I feel like you guys are okay with the plus and minus stuff now. So I'm not going to write it in there just because I don't have enough room. So 3.04 minus 1.5 is 1.54. And then negative 3.04 minus 1.5, negative 4.54. Now, I fully get from your perspective, these kind of feel like a different problem. There's theoretically only one extra thing to do, and that's to factor out the number in the front. But it feels like kind of different. And we'll definitely do another one together here next. I kind of just wanted to do like a full problem with you first. Anything you want to ask before we do one together? Okay, then let's go up to number 1 and do that one. So this 3x squared minus 15x equals 72. Okay, Cameron, now we need to roll a bunch of people. So I was,
Last one was 10.
like 1-0?
Yeah.
That'd be Maya, but she's not here.
22.
2-2. Ruben's over there today. Ruben, what should we do first? So you would bring the 72 to the right if we needed to. The a and the b, the x squared and the x need to stay on the left. So some of these problems, the number, like if you look at the problem below it, the minus 11 is on the left, so we have to move that to the right. Problem number 1, the number is already moved to the right. So that would kind of be our first step, is to just check that, or to do it if you need to. Okay?
27.
I didn't hear you. 1-7?
Yeah.
Zabi? What do I do now that there's a 3 in the front? So, did you write down the steps that we wrote down on the bottom? Okay. You have to factor out the number on the front if there is one. So, do you think you could remind me how to factor out a 3? Yep. So we divide both of these by 3. So this would say x squared minus 5x. I'll try to squeeze that in there if anybody wants it. And then I'm going to leave a blank for me to add a number. And I do that on both sides. Okay?
5.
That's only one number.
Yeah. Let me do that on the first one because there was like a 4 on the first number, so it was too high. So I just took the second number. I
So,
don't understand how to roll these. I'm gonna be honest.
okay, so you've got the pyramid shaped dice.
Alright, yep.
That's only going to be 1 through 4.
Yep.
And then you've got the other dice, which has 0 through 9. Okay, what is numbers on the pyramid dice?
2.
2, so that's row 2. And then how about the other dice?
Oh, 7.
7, so that's 2, 7. But she's already gone. Yeah, they're kind of weird dice, for sure. They're not regular dice.
1, 5.
Abby, do you want some guidance? Do you think you could tell me what to do next? So we need to take half of this number right there, which is going to be negative 2.5. A lot of times I'll just write it in the parentheses right away so that I don't have to like show work. It kind of just goes right there. And then squared would go right here. I think that is 6.25. Yeah. So 6.25 would go on that line. Go ahead. So you need to take half of the b. So taking half of negative 5 would be negative 2.5. And then you square it. That's what we did last week, I think like Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday, something like that. 72 and 6.25 would make 78.25. So we're definitely getting into numbers that are never going to work out nicely. Let's roll the next person so they can tell me what I forgot. What?
4, 5.
4, 5. Sadie. What did I forget to write down? Well, I wrote that up here, and then I added them together. That's why it's a different number below it. Does anybody know what I forgot to write down? Natalie? Oh, that's a good thought too, but that wasn't it. Kelsey? The 3. So once you take this 3 out front, for whatever reason, it's really hard to remember to keep writing it down. And so that's something you'll have to look out for. You're so used to doing completing the square that you'll do the steps you know how to do, but then forget kind of the new things.
2, 4.
No.
2, 5.
Abby already went?
2, 2.
Actually, Ruben already went too. You're getting a lot of repeats here.
3, 5.
5. Kara, do you know what to do next? Nothing? Do you have the steps written down? I think I see them written down. Yes. I believe this is so right after the step where you add numbers to both sides. What's it say to do? I think we wrote down a step about divide something. Divide both sides by the number in the front. So because we have a 3 in the front, we're going to divide both sides by 3. And all that does is get rid of the number in the front so that we can do square rooting nicely. So this will say x minus 2.5 squared equals, well, I'm not going to try to do that one in my head. $26.08. And 2 decimals is probably going to be plenty good for us to use during problems. Okay, almost done.
1, 5.
5. What would we do to both sides? Perfect. Square root both sides. Maybe I'll put another color. So square root both sides. That's going to cancel off the squared symbol. 5.11 plus and minus 5.11. Add 2.5 to both sides. And again, I kind of ran out of room. I don't know if you guys are in the same spot or not. Positive 5.11 plus 2.5 gives us 7.61. And then negative 5.11 plus 2.5 gives us negative 2.61. Now, I'll say a couple things about this. One, if you find this much harder than regular completing the square, don't stress about it too much. At most on the test, you'd get one of these. And chances are you'd be able to do a majority of the problem correct. You might just get kind of confused on like the dividing out the 3, things like that. So just like the last test, this next test is going to have a lot of partial credit. So if you're good at completing the square, but maybe these types of problems confuse you, do as well as you can, do as many completing the square steps as you can, and you'll still get a majority of the points. That's a good question. I don't think it was this week. I will double check after this. So this is the last topic, but I guess what I'm not sure of is when we're going to stop doing this, because I know we'll do at least one more day of it. So I doubt it'll be Friday because we'll probably do 2 review days. So at earliest, Monday, next week. At the earliest. Yeah. I'm expecting it to be Monday, but it depends how everything goes. Well, at some point you gotta kind of, well, we'll figure it out. We can decide that, yep. Okay. Reminder, because apparently not everybody knew tomorrow you do not come to school. Tomorrow is the ACT testing day / MCA testing day, depending on what grade you're in. So 9th grade and 12th grade stay home. Our assignment for tomorrow, today and tomorrow, is I believe we have 3 problems left, correct? Is the bottom right one the 4th one?
Yeah.
So
I just drew all my directions.
that's what I was going to say. I kind of told a lot of people to write the directions there. So let's just say these 3 problems because they're not going to go fast. And I'm totally okay with that. Have these 3 problems done by Wednesday. And then tomorrow, I wasn't clear enough last time, so I got a ton of messages. I took tomorrow off purposely so that I don't have to do attendance for the online day. I dislike the testing days. They're just super boring for me, so I usually take them off. So you guys don't need to take attendance tomorrow. You don't need to send me messages saying, how do I take attendance? You won't have to. And the assignment, I'm not going to put the assignment on there because it's just these 3 problems. So there won't be anything showing up for tomorrow for our class just because it's part of today's. Does that kind of make sense then? Excellent. Okay, I'll double check about the test to make sure there's nothing else to go over, but I'm pretty sure this is the last topic.